Hey, thanks for stopping by. I want to go into a little more detail on an etched bone artifact that is part of a late Archaic period site that that is here in Saginaw, Michigan. And if you haven't, I would recommend first you look at my two videos on this site. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description about these other videos. This particular piece deserves its own video because it is very unique among items that I've found in the last 35 years that I've been hunting for relics and artifacts. I have found very few bones, large pieces of bone on any of the middle or late woodland sites that I worked up in Oscoda, Michigan. All I found there would have been fragmentary pieces of meat that was consumed around the hearth or the campfire, and that I didn't find any intact bone relics or artifacts, at any of my sites up north. This site on Saginaw's west side produced a number of most fascinating bone artifacts. The one I'm showing you right now is animal bone. It's not human, but that's as far as I can go. I can't tell you what kind of animal that it came from, but it is a piece about 5.5 inches long, and on the one end is ground down so that it actually forms a gouge that can be held in the hand and used that way. Now, if that were the only thing that was interesting about this piece, that would be enough, because I've seen pictures of bone artifacts before, and I've examined pieces in museums, but I've never actually found one in the field. A couple things about this one, besides being ground down, ground so that it has a blade type end, is also the patina that's on it. It is other bone that I've found that's maybe 100 to 200 years old does not have that highly polished look to it that this one does. And I believe that is from the piece being used a lot. But the most interesting aspect of this to me are engravings etched into the surface, probably using a stone, and I have found graving spurs at this site too. So this piece, they made use of a graving spur on to etch into it a design. Now, I've looked at other Native American designs, etchings. Again, up in Oscoda, I found a number of stones that had things etched into them. They are very abstract, having a meaning, I'm sure, to the person who took the time to engrave them into the piece, but to understand what it meant to them is nigh unto impossible. The one stone that I found up in Oscoda at my old Benetton Creek site, I actually believe was a map of Benetton Lake and the island in the lake, and then trails around the island. And if I can find the picture of it, I will include it in this video. I'm going to have to do some searching for it, though, because all my files are packed right now, because I'm getting set to move David and I to a new and much better location where I'll actually have a single room that I can use as a studio for the videos that I produce for here on YouTube and Facebook and other places. But let's look at the engravings a little bit here. On the very end, the joint part of this piece, and only on one side of it, there is a semicircular symbol engraved there, and then bisecting it are two straight lines. What these mean? No clue. I have no clue. And outside of this, there are also engraved three more lines in a triangular fashion. And if I'm showing the right picture right now, you can see what I'm talking about. This is not that unusual, or in comparison to other pieces I've looked at that were engraved. But it is a fairly remarkable piece because of this. They are very profound. You can see them quite easily. I'm leaving the dirt intact in this, or on this bone, because I just, for display purposes and for study purposes, I think it's best to leave the material embedded into it. It might provide some clues to professional archaeologists if and when they have the chance to look at this and try to study it out. Now, I did find also at this site, if you look at the other videos, I found a plethora of bone, but I found probably a total of maybe 6, 7, 8 pieces that were modified to use as a tool, one of which was a spear point, which to me was quite incredible because, again, I've seen pictures and I've seen in museums bone that's been used as arrows and spears, but this is the first time that I've ever found a piece that was. So from that standpoint, this site is quite incredible to me. Now also, I found 5 or 6 teeth at this site in the same basic vicinity that this engraved piece was found in. I cannot, again, tell you what type of animal the teeth are from. They're good size. They have a ridged grinding surface. You can see those in detail on the videos, again, that I'm going to put in my description, so you can hopefully go to those and take a look at those videos too, which it gives you a little more background on the site that this engraved bone gouge came from. So I just wanted to show a few interesting close-ups of the piece, and if you can make any determination from the pictures I've put on here, please feel free to contact me. Put your comments in the comment section, or shoot me off in a personal message that if it's something you don't want everybody to view, and I'll be more than happy to hear any comments you have on it, because it's a fascinating piece, and it's just, it could be open to other interpretations as far as its use is concerned. The bone was so cracked open, I might add, because the Native American Indians didn't waste any part of the materials that they gathered for use. The bones were generally broke open to get to the marrow, which the Native Americans savored, and it was rich and high in minerals and vitamins that you need for sustaining life. And so this gouge was smashed open at one point before it was made into a gouge, and the marrow extracted, and a delicacy enjoyed by whatever man or woman got to do that. This is more likely a piece that would have been used by and made by a male, because as I've pointed out in other videos on Native American culture and the prehistory of Michigan, men's roles and women's roles were quite well defined, and they usually were not deviated from very much. They were well defined roles, and they worked well, and nobody felt any less than the other for having a female role in things or for having a male role in things. I guess some people might say, wow, that's a really sexist society, and other people would say, wow, that's a very open society, and it is, because your sex and your talent seemed to determine what you were able to do. Anyways, I'm happy to be able to show these images to you and share them with you. Please share your thoughts with me. Have a great evening, and God bless.